Hello, friends, and welcome to the Point, the home services podcast that focuses on marketing and operational solutions to help you get better. Because if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Now, let's cut through the bullshit and get to the point.
What's up, everybody? Super duper excited to be here today with my co-host, Mr. Paul Redman.
Glad to be here, Chris. Thank you.
I am Chris Yano, your host. Tall Paul sometimes is also known as Bob Saget.
See, that's where I disagree. There's a huge difference
Stunt
between Bob Saget and Danny Tanner. Big difference. Big difference.
That's fine. Well, he's a family guy on one end. On the other end, he's a really raunchy comedian.
Seedy comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking like Danny Tanner.
Yeah.
A.K.A. Okay, cool.
Danny Tanner's admirable, though, man.
All right, man. All right. Well, everybody, welcome to the Point. We are super excited to have you listening today. And today, this is not even an episode. This is laying the foundation
Before the episode.
for all upcoming episodes of To the Point. And the purpose of this pre-episode is to explain why we decided to do To the Point to help all of our tradesmen folk and tradeswomen folk. Fair?
It's fair. So I'll start with you. Do you mind
So
if
we're going to flip the script right out of the gate, and I'm now the co-host, and
Perfect.
You're the host?
I'm
Is
the
that what
host.
you're saying?
Yeah, welcome.
Let's do it.
Glad to have
I'm
you
ready.
here.
Let's fucking go. Let's go.
So you dropped an F-bomb already. See, I'm not an F-bomb guy. So you're not going to hear a lot of F-bombs out of me on this podcast. You might hear some out of Chris.
That's fair. Thanks, Kyle.
The only
Appreciate
F-bomb you hear out of me is Febreze.
Hey, can you just bleep that out, please? Because my kids might listen to this one.
Your kids are absolutely not going to listen to this
Yeah,
unless you're listening.
Okay, go. Let's roll.
All right. So, Chris, why the trades, man? Why so narrow?
Why the trades? Because this is my life. It's been 12 years of working in the home services trades, primarily HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and helping them grow. I got sucked into this, man. Like, I was an internet nerd. Actually, I'll tell you this.
Still are.
I know. So I've done, as you know, Paul, I've done hundreds of breakouts and keynotes and things like that, and it's always in the trades. But if I go back and look, like, how did I get into the trades? I got sucked into this. Like, I had zero interest in getting involved with heating and air conditioning or plumbing or electrical or really even internet marketing in the beginning.
You were going to be a state trooper.
So I wanted to be a sheriff, man, a constable. Like,
Sheriff Yano.
I did. I'm from Indiana. And my grandpa everybody, he was about a volunteer firefighter, sheriff, you name it. And he probably did about everything else happens in the country. But I really wanted to be a sheriff. And so I thought that's what I was going to be, with Sheriff Yano. So I go to Indiana State University, proud home of Larry Bird. And I'm taking criminal justice classes, but I'll be damned if I didn't get a DUI when I turned 21.
So is that it? You can't bounce back. DUI, criminal justice.
I mean, it's a significant derail. And I thought, okay, like, I messed that one up. So don't drink and drive.
Did you spend the night in jail?
I did not at that time.
Grandpa bailed you out.
But I did have to. Like, I had to go at one point and do a quick overnight.
What'd you learn
in jail?
overnight?
So I learned that to never drink and drive again.
Ever again.
Yeah,
Ever
ever
again.
again.
Yeah.
So
and at this point, like, fast forward 20 years, like, no one should drink and drive. Uber's way
of
too
course,
easy.
yeah, absolutely. So
Like,
this
it's
is a great public service announcement for not
forgivable.
drinking and driving. Yeah. So, but it derailed me. And so I had to figure something else out. And my sister went to go work for this little bitty company called Google. In the early 2000s, like 2001, somewhere around there, I think.
She was
she was
one of
early
the
on,
first.
brother, and then my brother-in-law was early on, and so and I
like
actually,
first 100 people.
So they were in there early, yeah. And I got I took a liking to it too, and it was something completely different. And here we are from the Midwest, kind of way slower, and how everything starts from the coast, comes in.
What's the first thing you Googled when you realized, like, wow, you can look up anything?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no clue. I don't know. Maybe I Googled myself.
I looked up the Great Wall of China. You Googled yourself. You saw your...
Make sure my DUI is not on there. And it was. But anyhow, it's gone now, so you can't find it. Thanks, Kyle. So anyhow, moving forward, I had to switch it up, man. And I didn't even know I was into like a sales. I didn't know I could do sales. I found out, I'm going to fast forward this. I found out that I was pretty decent at sales. I went to work for I moved to Arizona and started working for a big Yellow Page publisher called Dex Media, which was Quest Dex back in the day.
Still around.
Somehow hanging on by a thread.
Crazy. People still use them.
And I worked for them, and man, I didn't love like being able to tell somebody, if you bump up to this size ad and add red to it, it's going to get more people, because I really didn't know. Yeah. And they would send out these surveys and whatever. But then they started offering online Yellow Pages, and that part I kind of took a liking to.
And that came in fast too.
And it came in fast, quick, and it was something that I adopted and I got and I believed in, and so I was able to run with it. As I was working for Dex, which is Dex Media at the time here in Phoenix, Arizona, I got poached by a company called YellowPages.com, kind of out of the blue. And
they called you up and said, "Hey,
it was like, it was recruiters. Like they called me, and then they made me a pretty sweet offer to make a transition, come and help them launch this Phoenix office."
And you're a young family at this time, but you're doing well. Like you found your little niche.
I did, man. Like it was just, I was good at it because I believed in it.
Yeah.
And it was easier for me, and I could talk to people. So it was like what I felt like I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I
not
was good
bull riding or IndyCar driving. Which
no, man, I did all those things. Yeah. No, man, it was like my career. Well, you asked me about like
for sure
the trades.
We'll get back to that.
So I it's just something where I got good at it, and then I decided to, and I'm obviously fast forwarding through a ton, but at one point, if you don't believe in what you're selling, you got to make a change, because I don't want to go. I'm not trying to sell snake oil. I'm trying to sell what I believe in and help companies grow. I care about people. And I don't believe that was happening. So what I was selling wasn't happening, but it wasn't as a result of me. It was a result of the company I was representing. So I needed to make a change. And so I decided to, the high risk taker that I am, and not seeing all that could potentially go wrong and everything that could go right.
Still don't.
still the same way. I thought, man, if I could do this so well for these guys, and I learned it, I could do it. I could not only sell it, but then do it and do it well and believe in what I'm selling, because I'm controlling that piece of it. So I went down that path, man, and just so happened that a couple of my customers out of the gate that I brought on board, and this is going to sound really weird, but I actually, even though I started the company, which was called Brickyard Marketing back then, which was 2007, officially 2008, as I was learning business, that I actually had to like register, everything. I just had a couple customers that were in the HVAC and plumbing business, and they were really good and really influential with the manufacturers. And so that's where it started. But I thought that they were like my biggest customers, so I really had to take care of them because I didn't want to lose them. Like I had a family I had to support,
And they held you like super accountable.
Super accountable. Like I need to know this particular company too was HVAC and plumbing. Big player. But held me accountable on, hey man, how many service leads am I bringing in that are new customers? I don't care about the old stuff. Like I need to know new business so I can track, attach revenue to it. How many were, were straight up sales leads or install leads, as we'll call it. How many drain cleaning leads do I have? How many sewer leads do I have? How many sump pump leads? So on and so forth, and understanding what am I actually bringing in and what's it costing me, Chris? What's my cost per lead? Is it going down? It's not. Why is the cost per lead not going down? Hey, it went down. That's great. Can we get it to go down more? Like that's the perpetual conversation that still happens to this day. So what that did though was force me to understand the trades quickly because I wanted to keep him happy. Mm-hmm. And we're talking real numbers all the time. And so it forced me into learning the trades, but it was very overwhelming because there's so many variables to heating and air conditioning and plumbing and electrical and roofing. We had some great roofing customers early on, but I had to start learning the trades, and this forced me into it. And because it required so much time, I started to think like, maybe I should just focus on the trades because I'm learning it. So it's almost like back in the day when I was just selling, I would go into a specific like heading category and just stick with that one. Mm-hmm. And then because I had to cold call. And I would just be like, call this air conditioning and heating company. And then whatever I learned from that call that I messed up, I took it to the next call and the next call and the next call until I finally started to understand what questions to ask that mattered or questions I didn't ask that I should have asked that mattered. And so I just started applying some of those same things to, hey man, internet marketing, I want him to be happy and I want him to feel like he's growing his company and it feels good to do that for him. And I was an early adopter in the online space. And so now it's been like 12 years And I'm still only working with the trades. I mean, HVAC, plumbing, electrical. So you get really good at it after this amount of time, but it's because I still feel like I'm just barely scratching the surface.
Sure.
We've grown significantly since then, but here I am, man, and it's my life. The trades is my life. And I've had a lot of amazing conversations with a lot of really good business owners that I thought, man, I wish I could have shared so many of these conversations over the past decade with everybody so that they can learn. And so here we are.
I was thinking this morning as I was preparing to come in that, like, essentially, and I was thinking a lot about the trades, and I was thinking about Ken Goodrich and how he said he reads, something for the last 25 years every night about the trades. And I was thinking about our job, and really, like, we're in the service business too. Like, there's things that we want to do for our business and things like this that they don't get done between 8 and 5, like, or 7 and 5 or whatever that is. Like, that is service business. That is, you are there for your customers, serving at the highest level possible, and everything outside of that falls after that. But
Ken wrote a book. So actually, that's a good point, because and Kim will be a guest of ours in a future podcast, which would be great, so we can kind of dig into more questions. But because you brought it up, one of the first books I read, and wasn't a big reader, and I'm still not a huge reader. I try to read more, but was a book called the EMyth, which was written by Michael Gerber, and it was really to kind of tee you up on how to actually run your business. And so Ken actually teamed up with Michael Gerber and wrote another variation of that called the EMyth HVAC Contractor. So I read through it too. And that way, and I kind of learned what Ken's method was, because it is applicable to me. The better I know how to help my customers, even if it's outside of the scope of what we do at RYNO, which is straight up internet marketing for home services, the better it is for all of us. Right. So I wanted to kind of be in the know. So he wrote that book, the EMyth HVAC Contractor, with all of his knowledge, and it's huge. I think he rolled it out last year, but I can't wait to dig into that with him when he's on here.
Yeah, sharp guy. I'm looking forward to it. So tell me about today. Like, you've talked to contractors across industries, particularly HVAC, plumbing, electrical, for the last 10 years. Like, are you hearing some of the same things today that you were hearing back then? Are you solving some of the same problems? What's that like? What's that like for you?
And I do. And it's a lot of times I say, like, it still baffles me sometimes when people don't even have like a mobile version of a website.
Yeah.
But people get focused on their own job, right? Yeah. And doing, working in business can be hard, and especially if you're small and you're wearing multiple hats and you're doing lots of things. So I understand. At some point you have to take that next step. And when you're ready, we're here to help. So we have, customers that are really small, that want to grow just as bad as our $120 million, clients, or 200, so it still baffles me today how somebody will come to me and be like, hey, can you build me a website so I can get more customers? And they just want a website. And I'm like, that's not how it works. That's great. You do need a new website. Yes. Because if you look at your competitors, it's significantly better, but you got to do something with it.
Yeah.
You build the boat, you got to put it in the water.
And it's frustrating, though, because you see a lot of these businesses and you see a lot of these business owners beating their heads against the wall, trying to solve problems that have been solved by people, right? Mm-hmm. And for instance, you and I are in different trade associations, and we go to different meetings, and we hear the same things over and over again. And I think the problem is there's a lack of trust in the industry, whether it's a software company or a manufacturer or a distributor, or particularly things related to the digital world. They just don't know who to trust.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, because trust is the biggest obstacle. And a lot of it has to do, like, if we're being 100% transparent, internet marketing is a shady industry. There's a lot of people who lie and do things wrong. And let's face it, it's the same way in the trades. Like, there's a lot of shady industries because people do things wrong. But there's also us good guys that do it right and are honest and are transparent. And the biggest differentiator there is how you communicate what you're doing with your customer. Yeah. And that's something that, like I said, when I was working for another company, I didn't feel like they were executing the right way. They weren't doing what I was saying. That doesn't feel good. And those people who actually have integrity and want to feel good about what they're doing, and you don't just want to sell somebody to sell them, that's a big gap. That's a big differentiator on how you're going to look in 5 years, 10 years as a company. You got to treat people right. You got to care about the people that you're working with. But you also really what's made us so successful at RYNO is we feel we know the trades better than any of our competitors because we've been doing it longer. We've been studying the data far longer. We hire the best people in here for the right, it's not me, right? We have a huge team of people that are experts in home services for digital marketing.
Yeah.
That's what it takes.
So what do you hope that the listeners will take away from, every time they interact or listen to the podcast?
So my hope is it's not even about like, yes, I have an internet I own RYNO. It's not even about that. The point is I've had so many so many awesome conversations throughout this decade with different owners of all types. And I wished I could share those things so people could hear what they asked, what the answers have been, to then put them to use and help their businesses grow. Because the way I look at a business and here is it's not just a logo. It's not just a person I looked at and was talking to. It's them, their families, their employees' families. Their employees also want to grow. Like they might not just want to stay at the same level. They also want to grow, get better, and create more wealth for themselves. So I take it super personal.
Yeah.
That's why every month, man, good, bad, or indifferent, we're going over reporting and we're talking about exact number of leads and the exact cost per lead and then the revenue attached to that lead. So we always know where we stand because it lets us know that we have that trust you were talking about.
Yeah.
And that trust piece is the key indicator, I believe, to a long, successful future.
Yeah. I think what I'm most excited about is, I'll tell you a story about a guy named Ryan. Ryan owns Beltline Heating and Air Conditioning in Maryland, and I'm not going to share the size of his company or his revenue, but he's maybe 24 or 25 years old. He's a client of ours. And I look at him and I truly believe that all the problems that he's going to face as he grows his company, one, other people have been through, and two, all the problems are solvable. I truly believe he can run a $100 million company one day. And I believe that for everybody getting into the trade. I believe that any company that is at a certain point and they've got aspirations of, either generational wealth or leveling up to whatever that might be. Everybody defines success and freedom differently. But I truly believe like the things that are keeping them from achieving that are within reach. Some of it's personal and behavioral, which we'll talk about. But a lot of it is just understanding what it is that's made people successful. It's back to the whole, like, everybody puts their pants on the same way. Like everybody's loading up their trucks the same way in this business. Like those, most of what's holding people back is belief system, not believing, not trusting someone, not trusting. That's another thing too, is companies don't become successful all on their own. They need help, whether it's with a supplier, whether it's like the first supplier to ever give someone a line of credit, right? You hear stories about that. Companies that were like, man, I had nothing. I had no good credit. And so someone gave me a $5,000 line of credit for me to buy an air conditioner and install it and cash flow it for 30 days and I could pay my guy. And that's how I started my business. Yep. And now I'm a multimillionaire.
So cool. I love it. And I've heard so many of those stories. Yeah. Not only have I heard them, we've helped them grow. And I have customers today been with us for the life of RYNO that I would love, we got to get them on here and have them tell their story.
Yeah.
It's so rewarding. It's when I always say, even if we have new employees come in, or even with customers that we're working with, is to understand what their why is. The Simon Sinek, starts with the why. So, because I need to know why. Why are you doing this? Yeah, I understand you want to make money, but like it's got to be more than that. Like, what is it? The money will, if you do it right, the money will follow. Like, what is it? What's going on? What's the why? How can we come alongside and help?
Yep.
So that why piece of it to me is the most important piece of understanding what they're doing and how they're doing it. Like, that's great, but why
for sure
are you doing it?
So we're going to bring on people from all over the industry. So contractors, software providers, manufacturers, executives. What kind of interactions are people going to be able to expect?
Yeah, man. Like what I want everybody to hear and take away from this is tactical things that they can do that they have complete control over, right? So that way it doesn't always have to be like, oh man, that's not applicable to me. I'm only a $100,000 guy. I'm just starting my company.
Yeah.
Or if they're on here, we have customers that are, upwards of 120, 130 million who go through a lot of acquisitions. So it's bringing on, help on how to tee yourself up to be acquired if that's something, or for you to acquire somebody. and private equity, if you want to get have those types of conversations, or if you just want to grow and not do that, like what are some things I can do? What should I be aware of? How should I be managing how should I be managing this company? Like what should I be looking out for? What's some one thing that we did with creating our partnership with Gary Vaynerchuk and his sister company with Sasha Group was we were trying to bypass, because of our growth, we were trying to bypass years of hurdle of these negative things that we could run into, problems that we could run into. So for me, I was willing to pay for that so I could bypass this for my customers, right? I did not want to make mistakes as we grow. So if I could bypass that by partnering with somebody who's been through it and can help us navigate the waters operationally through that, I want to offer the exact same thing here to our listeners.
Yeah.
So that way we're kind of doing this together. But because I've had so many of these conversations that, again, like when I decided I wanted to do this podcast, it wasn't just because with VaynerMedia and them pushing us to kind of get it done, which if we'd have listened to them, it'd have been like 6 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
But was I want to bring these solutions to people in the trades, which is where I am, right? Yep. And so that's the point of this thing, man, is I want to bring in, whether it's it's not just a business owner, but if it's a new technician or a tech that's looking to split out and do their own thing, things that they should be looking for to help them get ahead of the game. Yeah.
And I believe, just like marketing, like there's an organic way to build a network around yourself that doesn't require you to spend, $100,000 a year by joining some sort of network or some sort of trade agency. And don't get me wrong, those are really, really good. I mean, the best of the best participate in those. But there's a way to build a network authentically using people who are doing good things in the industry and piecing that together. That can be done. And we hope to bring those people on and help our listeners connect with them.
Yeah, we've actually got a pretty good list of upcoming guests, and we'll share them when the time is right. But we've really done our due diligence on what we believe are things that we want everyone to have a good takeaway from, and then building guests around that we feel will be the most impactful, that have already done it.
Yeah.
And can kind of give us some step-by-step directions along the way. The listeners. So I'm pumped, man. I've been eager to do this. We're well prepped for it, and I cannot wait to share some of those guests that we have lined up.
Perfect. So last question. You talked a little bit about Gary Vaynerchuk, and if people don't know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, they didn't even hear his name when you said that. But if they know who Gary V is, they heard that and they're like, what? Gary V? Now, they may have seen you like on social up in New York, or those guys in our office. Tell me about that process. Like, what was required for like just the humility to raise your hand and say like, hey, I'm a really successful business owner and I need help. What was that process like for you?
Well, so one thing that I've also learned, and I think this kind of comes from just my competitive past on like, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And we say that at the beginning of the podcast.
Fitter or fatter.
Because I believe it, man. Like, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse, and somebody's getting better than you.
Yep.
So you got to keep chipping away at it every day to get better. So I'm not afraid to ask for help where I suck, man. Like, I am a humble dude. Like, if I know I could reach out to somebody else to help me bypass mistakes because it's better for my customers and better, which in turn makes it better for me and my employees, I'm in, dude. Like, it's not even a second guess.
Yeah.
It's just, how do you get to those kind of guys that will give you the time or even want to partner with you, like a Gary Vaynerchuk? And it took some chasing, man. Like, it took months and months of me trying to make contact with them and through his organization, and really every angle I could try and think of to finally get through to one of his EVPs. And he was coming out to Phoenix in 2018 to do a big keynote with Tony Robbins and Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank, those guys. So he was coming out, and I was able to get him locked down for a dinner the night before.
Question though, was that dinner on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night? This is a great story.
So
do you want me to tee this up for you?
Sure, man. Go ahead.
Right. So you've been chasing Gary V since before many of us knew who Gary V was, right? And which I have another story to tell you about TikTok and my daughter and Gary V in a second. But you had been like reaching out to him personally for a long period of time and had some interaction and finally got some traction with his organization before they had a small business. Like, they only dealt with Fortune 100, 300 companies. Yeah. Like, they were dealing with the big Super Bowl commercials, multiple, like, no offense, Chris, but you weren't on their radar.
No.
Right? So finally you're able to set up a meeting and you get a dinner with Gary, and you've got it all teed up. You're going to go into Phoenix when he's in town. You're going to meet and have dinner, and it's on, whatever night it was. So, you've got a lot going on. You've got kids. You're like the Christmas light guy. So you're putting up Christmas lights, 5:30, 6 o'clock, phone rings. What was that phone call like?
Well, I got a pit in my stomach immediately because it was Gary's assistant saying, "Hey, just double checking that you're going to be here in 30 minutes." I live like 45 minutes away, and I'm putting up Christmas lights. You're right. So like I am not prepared for this. So now I'm going to be real clear. I didn't get the date wrong. They got the date wrong.
They got the date
They
wrong?
got the date wrong and apologized
The Mayan calendar.
to me.
No.
So they got it right.
Oh, they did?
They did, yes. So it all worked out, but I clearly wasn't prepared. So I run inside. I throw on some deodorant, some cologne, some clothes, wipe the dirt off my face, and I hauled ass down to go downtown Phoenix to go meet with them.
And you had gotten a haircut the day before.
I did,
which is
thankfully,
important
yes.
because that's part of your prep. Part of your discipline is like,
yeah. I mean, I could
get cleaned up.
I could have went with a hat on, like it didn't matter. But like, thankfully, I was, I'd already had my hair was already done. So
Did
like,
you shower?
No, man. I'm talking like
It was November.
No, and listen, like I had a short amount of time with him, and I was already going to be late. So
Making an entrance.
I drove a solid 100 miles an hour, which is another public service now.
Because normally
you
only
drive the speed limit.
He only drives 95.
Normally, yeah. So I get there. I show up about 25 minutes late to a meeting with Gary. And actually, it ended up working out because it kind of like it made me stand out a little bit. And I sat when I came in, I sat right next to him, and there was like 3 other people in this meeting with us too. So it was kind of like a round robin, if you will.
Yeah.
And it just worked out. But he and I were dressed identical, which that part was kind of weird. Like
Very weird.
Gray pants, black shirt, like the whole 9 yards. Some of the guys in there were wearing like his shoes and stuff like that. Like I was not doing that.
Yeah.
But I sat next to him, but it was weird because I came in late. It was kind of like a haha, way to go, buddy.
Yep.
In
one shot.
Make a joke out of it, and but we clicked. But thankfully, because once I knew I had the meeting with them, I was able to also prep him ahead of time for who I was and that there was a potential partnership on a much bigger scale.
Yeah.
Because he was there we're talking with a couple different people just to help them with their own business, no partnership talk, nothing. I was just swinging for the fences looking for I wanted the partnership so I could learn from them to help my customers. We get into this conversation, man, and honestly, even though I was 25 minutes, 30 minutes late, the majority of the conversations were he and I going back and forth about things because he had some context going into it from the months and months of me pushing and trying to push this potential partnership that they don't do. So everybody leaves the meeting, and he and I keep going. Now he's waiting to go meet with Robert Candici from the Cardinals, and we had some affiliations with the Cardinals and stuff that we've done through different charitable things. But so we knew some of the same people, which was helpful.
Yeah,
and Bruce Arians, things like that. So we spent a little bit of time after that, kind of talking a little more detail. I'm like, hey man, we have the home services industry on lock. It is our niche. We're great at it.
Yep.
Some of the things that we're missing, you're world class at. And I would love to combine the two, and let's go take it. Let's take it to the world. Let's go in the home services trade. And we didn't even have a social media team at that point in time. Yeah. So we lacked where they were amazing. Mm-hmm. And so the pitch was, how can I get you to partner with us to help us build a social media team that is a world-class offering, but at contractor pricing? And and we can apply all of our knowledge from the trades to your knowledge in social media and voice search and things like that to give our customers this amazing experience and help them grow and with their brand and things like that. Mm-hmm. And he's in, man. But it took a lot of work, man, to get there.
Yeah.
And we did a handshake deal right then. And then he shot a video that I've played for the staff and we've shared before of him and I after the dinner saying, great dinner, productive dinner. Let's go. It's going to be an amazing 2019 or whatever. And since then, we've been, to his office quite a bit, and they've helped us. They helped, recruit and hire our social team and given us tactics and things like that. And it's been a great relationship. But talk about work, man. I had to put in work to make that happen, and it was all because I care about the customers.
Yeah, it's been a great experience. We knew it was going to make us uncomfortable. I mean, they came into our business and completely did a 360 on it, interviewing our employees, and we learned a lot through the process. One of the things to this day that's still the greatest compliment is when they refer one of their clients to us. Yeah. That's awesome.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, for sure. And Gary, if anybody has not looked him up, you got to at least look him up. The reason I liked him in the first place is he gives away so much awesome free content that can help your business explode if you apply it. and he doesn't ask for anything in return.
Yeah.
Like it's like the Robin Hood of marketing in my world. Like he's, he wants to take all these things and then give it away. And I respect that because part of the process is, I think, maybe the unspoken thing would be is you want something in return. And that's that you hope that you say, hey man, here's all the things you can do. And the likelihood of you actually doing all those things could be slim, but if you need help, we got you.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. So, but I loved that about him. And so the values were the same.
Yep.
And we had a lot of similarities in the way that we speak and we kind of present things and our beliefs and stuff like that. So that's where I was so connected to him. He was just so much further ahead of me.
Yeah.
That I was like, man, if I could tap into this, I could make this better.
Good. If people want to talk to you personally or reach out, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Me directly. So thanks, Paul.
I just tried to bypass half of my job, filtering people who want to talk to Chris.
So to go to P. Redman at RYNOSS.com. So I try to help as many people as I can personally, and I still have people that reach out to me and will send me text messages and things like that. The reality is I have to be cautious of that because I do really value my personal time with my family and professional, but I will respond to a fault because I want to help. So I have my email is cyano@rynoss.com. That's probably your best bet to get to me.
It was unfair. I threw that out there.
You did. And if you
transparency.
That is transparency. I want to help you, but getting my cell phone to blow up is not the answer. But
it blows up constantly.
Yes. Yeah, and that's okay. But if I roll it out now, then I get blown up even more. So if you send me an email, I promise you I will respond.
All right. Any last thoughts for anyone that is listening in and interested in listening to the next show?
Yeah, man. My biggest hope for you, and one, thank you so much for even listening to this and tuning in. And hope, I know a lot of folks that are probably listening have met me or know me or heard me speak or something along those lines. So I want you to know I'm truly grateful that you're even on here spending your time, because I believe time is your biggest asset. I really hope that everyone takes away something that can help their business grow. Because this podcast is geared specifically towards the trades, which has encompassed my life. I mean, my wife is in this business. I'm in this business. We're all in. That I love to give and help people. It's who I am. It's why I still make my house look like Clark Griswold's house at Christmas time, is as much for my family as is the community, for people to see it. There's nothing more fulfilling for me than somebody to come back and tell me, you did this, it helped me do this. Like it's the most rewarding thing I've got. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing with with our employees. I ask everybody for their goals. Yeah. So that way I can, if I know what your goals are, I can help you hit your goals. I love to give back and help people. As you know, like we do a service day every single month here for the company. We always go out and serve somewhere in the community to give back to the community because we're grateful. We're going Friday. Yep. We're going to St. Mary's Food Bank. So that's my biggest thing is I want everybody on here to be able to come back and take something away. Yeah. And say like, damn, man, I listened to that podcast. You got to listen to the point. I took this away. It's solid. Like that to me would be the absolute best feeling.
For sure.
And assurance like this was the right thing to do.
Yep. Good. All right. Well, we thank everyone for listening in, and you will hear from us very soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. And tune in to our first episode of To The Point soon. Take care.
Thank you for listening to The Point. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please consider leaving us a review in the App Store. And don't forget to share with your friends. Till next time, kick some ass.